Oh, the robots are coming to take away your job. Pay attention, listen. Human beings were created uniquely, okay? And they were created, every human being was created with a part of God in him. And that is why no two human beings are the same. Every human being is unique. So in you lies a part of God, a part of God that God deposited in you uniquely. He didn't put it in another person. So people who are who are trying to compete with other people who are jealous of other people who are envying other people, it is because they don't know who they are. Okay, many years ago, one of the very lovely artists that I love so much, Sinach, she sang a song and she said, I know who I am. I am who God says I am. You are who God has made you to become. The robots were made by man. Okay? Man's creation cannot replace God's creation. If you're writing, note that down. Man's creation will never replace God's creation, because whatever God has done will be forever. Okay, so a lot of people are afraid. The only thing robot is going to do is that it's going to push you, okay, so that you will find your unique spot. Okay, and your unique spot is your most creative spot. God has created you as a creative entity, so that you can bring out what he has deposited in you as a raw material and reform it, remodel it. Okay, you now make it to become something that is productive, something that can be commercialized, something that can be monetized, something of great value, something that can be exchanged, okay, in the global market. That is it. So just to enable us know that whatever God has created you to be, he has deposited all, okay, that you need to become that. All you need to do is to begin to work on yourself in the areas that vessels are needed to be borrowed. The things you don't have, you borrow to complement what you have. That's how life works. Okay, so begin to see yourself from today that you're unique. Okay, you are a product. You see, everything that is brought out from the ground. Today, God is using the ground, the earth, to teach us a very good example. Corn is brought out from the earth, it is useful. Okay, corn is not competing with rice. Beans is not competing with yam. Cassava is not competing with tomato. All of them are serving different purposes. That is the same way you, okay, you are God's product. You were created to serve a different purpose. Just find your purpose and you'll be glad that you did. All right. So, in summing up everything I've said today, all right, I've talked about seasons. Okay, I've talked about seasons that the Almighty is showing us from the scriptures, that there is a season of abundance and there's a season of scarcity. It's in this place, the term scarcity was exchanged for rest. Okay, it's not a season of sowing, it's a season of rest. It is what you have done in the season of sowing, what you have done in the season of work, that will determine how good you will rest. If you have joked with your season of work, then I can assure you there won't be a season of rest. Okay? In fact, in the time your peers will be resting, you'll be struggling to see if you can sow. Okay? And one bad thing about the season of rest is that when you are supposed to be resting and you're sowing, the atmosphere is no longer conducive. Think about somebody who goes to sow during the dry season. There is no rain, the land is hard. Okay, you see that it won't be fruitful because you're not in the right season. So why don't you use your youthfulness, which is the right season of sowing, to do something tangible for yourself? Okay, okay, yes, all right. And also, I talked about the place of maximizing God's product, okay, in our life. And what did I mean by that? I said that the season that God is showing us today, the seasons of life, He's by extension also teaching us that we are not just here to cultivate and harvest, we're also here to process and store. Okay, and I gave you an example with the life of Joseph when I said that Joseph did not just cultivate, he harvested, he processed, and he stored. Okay, so that is the complete circle. That would be the farm, the complete agricultural circle. If this is not done, it's not complete. Okay, and for we to maximize our agricultural products, this is what we have to do. Okay, so think about this. Think about this in a moment. Okay, if you have a farm, all right, I want you, this can be applied into anything you're doing. If you have a farm, all right, now in this farm you produce the food for the birds, okay, and the birds in the same vein, they release their waste, and the waste are used to, of course, feed the fishes, and also is also used for manure in your farm. Okay, that is like giving and taking. That is like a circle, an agricultural circle. Okay, now you produce your products, you sell, you process your pawpaw, okay, your papaya, you process them into fruit juice. Okay, that's process. Okay, and you store them, okay, in cans, like what you have your chivita, even though chivita is not original. Okay, and you store them in cans. That is a full circle of production where you sow, you harvest, you process, and you store. Okay, because if you don't store, you see that the spoiled pawpaw, the remaining pawpaw that you did not eat, you did not sell, will get spoiled. But if you store, okay, you see that nothing will get spoiled. So God is teaching us that in us, I can assure you, God wants us to maximize everything He has given to us. Let not even one waste. There has to be a complete cycle, okay? A, a complete utility cycle in our life. Everything has to be utilized, has to be maximized, okay, and that is when you will see that the Almighty will be so happy and glad with us, and glad with us. Then finally, I talked about the place of giving back. All right, you're not the only one that has to rest. You're not the only one that will go to Maldives and have vacation. You're not the only one that is supposed to enjoy your life. There are other people that are in your life for a reason. Okay, there are people that God brings to your life, hired servants, staffs that are working for you. Okay, all those people, they also need to enjoy what you're enjoying. Don't make life look as if, oh, you are the boss, you are the only one that deserves good things. Everybody around you deserves good things too. Okay, and this is what God is teaching us, and that's the place of empathy. We see a lot of people who they are enjoying life. In fact, we see that in families where people are taking care of their children, but whenever a child, okay, who is not theirs comes into the home, you see them, they are treating the child differently. That is not the principle of God. The principle is that the same way you treat your children is the same way you treat, okay, you treat other people's children. The same way you treat what belongs to you, the same way you protect what is yours, okay, is the same way you protect other people's materials. You cannot be in a place and you'll be managing your things so that it doesn't get spoiled. But other people's own, you mismanage them. That is not the right thing to do. Okay, and that is what God is teaching us today, that we must treat people the way we want to be treated. Okay, and of course, this is where I'll be rounding up the teaching for today. Okay, and I earnestly pray, okay, that the God of heaven, so is able to do all things, We continue to bless us enormously. He will allow His word, which we have heard this morning, to sink into us and transform us into great instruments, instruments of honor, instruments of transformation. That wherever we are, instruments of influence, that we will be great tools in the hands of the Almighty in everywhere that we find ourselves. God bless you. God bless you.